It is important to understand how ArcGIS processes a raster surface. It is easy to see how ArcGIS will process a feature class because there is an attribute table which functions much like an Excel spreadsheet. In a raster surface, there are cells and each cell contains a value. In the case of a digital terrain model, these cells denote elevation, representing a 3D value. Let us consider this image. We have two cells that I extracted from a grid from a DEM, and I drew a point, a dot, in the middle of each one. And these colors visually represent to us that these are two different elevations. So hypothetically speaking, let's just say that one elevation, the leftmost cell, will represent 108. The rightmost cell will represent 105. So in plan view, this seems pretty flat. We don't think of it as being 3D, we just see a grid pattern with different colors. If we take a look at it and we just say that we rotate our grid into kind of a 3D view, it's going to look something more like this. It's not flat at all. So if we look at it in this view and we look at these 2 points and we begin to think about their relationship, we can begin to see a pattern. And the pattern here is we can kind of see an equation. Rise over run equals slope. The relationship can also be expressed as the change in y divided by the change in x. So here's an equation. We have y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. So this is some point y2 divided by a point y1, or minus y1, and then divided by a point x2 minus a point x1, which gives us slope or grade. So let's study y2 and y1. So in this case, y2 would be the uppermost point, and y1 would be the lowermost point of our relationship here, our triangle relationship. And we know that the high point, this upper one, is 108 elevation. And this bottom one over here was 105, so we assume that this line that we draw across here, this construction line, is perfectly horizontal, perfectly flat. So this would be a right triangle. And this point down here is going to be 105. So 108 minus 105 is going to give us 3 feet, which is denoted here in this diagram. Now if we look at the horizontal difference, we have 2 points again, and we'll say that this point here, the right point of this triangle, will be denoted as x2, and this one over here to the far right will be x1, and we're going to say the distance between these 2 points is going to be 4 feet, so x2 minus x1 is 4 feet. And then we take the results from y2 minus y1 and x2 minus x1 and divide them, and that should give us the slope or grade, which is this difference here between these 2 points. It's important to make sure that you don't accidentally use the Pythagorean theorem, because what we're actually looking for here is the rate of change and not the distance between these 2 points. So you don't want to accidentally use the Pythagorean theorem because we're not looking for the distance, we're looking for the rate of change. And sometimes change is denoted by a triangle, and sometimes we'll use a triangle to help us remember that we're not looking for distance, we're looking for the rate of change here. If you want to learn more about how ArcGIS calculates slope, I would definitely use the search function within ArcMap and just do a search for slope.